everybody. Today's lesson is about landscape architecture. So, if you've already listened to the book, the story, Iggy Peck Architect, you're ready to go and make your project. Landscape architecture is when architects, engineers, and gardeners work together to make a park or monument or playground. Sometimes it's just the things that are around a building that make it beautiful. Landscape architecture includes where the sidewalks go, where a play climbing gym would be, or even where the trees or plants go. Today, you're going to design your very own playground, inspired by Iggy Peck Architect, as well as some real-life landscape architects and design firms that I did some research on. The first one is called Basurama, and they're from Spain. So basura in Spanish, it references garbage. So Basurama is a landscape architecture firm that takes things that people would throw away and turns them into playgrounds. Some of their projects have been as far away from Spain as the United States, and then some of them have been in Asia and Taipei, where they used light posts, old light posts that nobody wanted to use anymore, to make a playground, or even in different parts of Africa, Asia, and South America. The other landscape architecture firm that I want us to look at today is from Philadelphia, and they're called Studio Ludo, and they have made projects inside and outside. They like to work with projects all over the United States, as well as in Philadelphia. The Whitman Library, which is one of the free libraries of Philadelphia, they designed a space inside that kids could play and interact with as they look at their books. Studio Ludo also, during the COVID-19 crisis, is offering kits for making and designing things in your own house, so you can check them out at their website. Okay, so with that in mind, with the ideas of Iggy Peck Architect, Basurama, and Studio Ludo, we're going to gather some materials for our project. You're going to think about what kind of paper you have at home. Parents, if you have construction paper already at home, that's an awesome way to start. If you don't have any construction paper, don't worry. Look through your recycling bin. Do you have any awesome tubes made from either toilet paper or paper towel tubes? Do you have any old tin foil that you might be able to use? Did you cut something out for a different project and decided not to use it? Or are there some flyers you got in the mail from different companies or politicians that you might want to cut up and use for this project? I liked this one because inside it already looks like he's in a park. Another thing you can do for materials for your project is take a walk outside. Maybe there's a really cool stick you found or some rocks. Maybe there's a plant that lost a branch inside your home or outside. Don't take it off if it hasn't already fallen. Or a really cool leaf that you could add to your project. The cool thing about having our art room in your own house now is we can use different materials that might be hard to store in the art room. So use this to your advantage and pick out something maybe from outside. Take a walk with your family. All right. If you have construction paper, or big paper, I recommend cutting it into strips to begin. It's a lot easier to get started when you have a smaller piece of paper to work with. So I piled up a couple strips at a time and cut them all at the same time. That's a grown-up thing to do. Also, you're going to need some glue. If you don't have any glue at home, like a glue stick or White Elmer's glue or tacky glue, you can make your own glue using a little bit of flour and a little bit of water. So I put some flour into a container, and I'm going to put just a little bit of water at a time and mix it up with a fork. I want to make sure all the lumps are gone. Oh, it gets really lumpy. But I don't want it to be too watery, because if it's too watery, it'll take too long to dry. So I'm just doing a tiny bit of water at a time, and I've got kind of like a little paste. It's still a little bit lumpy, and that's totally fine. I can either use my fork or a brush, a paintbrush, or even this food-safe brush to use to brush the new homemade glue onto my paper. Because this is made from an edible product and my paper is non-toxic, I can still use it. All right, so I've got my glue, I've got my papers. You're gonna decide what kind of paper is going to go on the bottom. So when we have a park, I really love parks that are green. I'm going to start with 2 pieces of paper, and I might even tape them together so that I have lots of space. You could use 1. Now that we have the ground for our park or playground, now we can start adding things to the playground. One of the things that is really important when you're making something out of paper is to create a flap to be glued on. So one way that you can create a flap is folding the paper down in one direction, and then this will be where the glue is applied. If we wanted to make a tube like this, but bigger and wider and maybe shorter, that flap, ooh, this is more like a teardrop than a tube. I like that shape. All right, now it's time to apply my glue. I can use my homemade glue or my glue stick, and I'm only gonna put the glue on the flap. And remember, we don't like puddles, we like snail trails. So I wanna make sure it's just slimy, not super wet, because it'll take too long to dry. So I used a little too much, so as I squeeze it together, I might take a little bit off. All right, so now I have something that I could either attach on here. We need a flat surface to glue things to. If I wanted it to stand up straight on the ground, I can make some more flaps to glue. So I'm just gonna cut little tiny slits in my fun shape. And then I'm gonna fold these shapes back. Okay, now that I have a bunch of flaps, I'm just gonna glue these flaps down onto the paper, and that will hold it in place without it falling off. If I tried to glue it this way, there wouldn't be as much surface for the glue to stick to. That's something that a lot of architects have to think about, is the surface that makes things strong. So I can use my homemade glue, or my glue stick, and just put a little bit of glue on each of these little flaps. Pew pew. All right, now I gotta figure out where to put it. I think I'll put it right here. So now I have like a tube little shape. Maybe I wanna have a ladder to get into this shape so that the people playing at the playground can get inside. Remember those dragons we made that had the accordion fold for the body? First you fold in one direction, and then you flip it over and you fold that whole part back. And I'm going to show you a trick. If you have an accordion fold like this, you can make 2. All you have to do is hold on with one side and very carefully cut it in half. So now I've got some steps. And this accordion fold already gives us some flaps that we can use. All right, so I've got some steps up in there. Maybe I need a slide. So when you're gluing, make sure you're pressing it together so that it stays. Now I have a nice long slide. All right, we can make some plants or add some plants to our designs. All right, so I've got my stream. I could maybe even make a tree. I can make an accordion fold. I'm thinking about my flaps, and I'm gonna make my own awesome playground. If you wanted to make something that needs to go straight up and down, one way to do that is to coil the paper so that it's much stronger. So I'm going to coil it up into a roll, kind of like my toilet paper roll, but much tinier. This could be the straight up and down for my monkey bars, but I would need to do a little bit of gluing first. I'm actually going to use my homemade glue for this. I'm going to get a little bit on there. And then I'm going to use a piece of old scrap paper to slide it along, kind of like a paintbrush, to make sure it's nice and even. A nice, good snail trail. And then I'm going to hold it shut, wipe away the extra until I have a nice straight up and down pull. It could be a flag pull. It could be one side of a set of swings. But I gotta make sure that I make some flaps before I glue it down onto the ground. So I'm gonna cut those slits, fold it back, and glue it down. And that way it'll stay still. You can use plants from your yard. Ooh, that makes it heavy. Think about gravity as you're making it. Is it going to be strong enough to hold something up that's heavy? Think about different materials that you could use to make something stronger. If something's too heavy, trade it out for something that's lighter. Oh, that's still too heavy. Maybe I need to make something heavy around here. Ooh, that's better. Think about putting heaviest things on the bottom and the lightest things on the top. And go wild. I can't wait to see what you make. All right, landscape architects, I cannot wait to see what you design for your imaginary playground. Maybe we can even get somebody to make it. Studio Ludo, Mayor Kenny, Mr. Posnick. Maybe we can get our own playground for our school once this is all over. I hope you're staying safe and having fun with your art. Bye.